Okay, so step one is I am going to go into my exam view. And once I am in exam view, I'm going to go up here to File. I am going to go to Export. Once I go over to Export, I'm going to choose the latest version of Blackboard. Currently that's 7.1, but you never know when there's going to be an update. So you're going to choose the most advanced version of Blackboard. I'm going to click on that. I always make sure I'm saving it to my desktop. The other thing I'm making sure is that this says zip down here. It's a Blackboard 7.1 plus zip. You need to make sure it says that. Then I am going to name this. For this particular exam, I'm going to put ER Final Exam. And I'm capitalizing all that so that I can tell the difference, and you'll understand that when we get into the next step of this process. Now, this step of this process is for exams that are already created in exam view, uploading them into Blackboard. There will be a different process for creating exams that are already on a Word document. It's going to be a little more time consuming. Okay, so I'm pressing save. Right? I'm actually, before I press save, I'm going to copy this name, and I'll show you why in just a second. So the next page is asking me name. So since I copied it, I can just press paste on those two places, and it tells me it's doing its thing. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize. Going to my desktop here, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to open up Blackboard. I'm going to go into the class that I would like to put this in. In this case, that's emergency care. Now again, this instruction is only for courses that are in exam view. So I'm going to look under course tools, click that open, and I'm looking for tests, surveys, and pools. I'm going to click that. I'm going to click tests. I'm going to put import test. Now in this particular class, I've already created these assessments in Blackboard. So just ignore that under there. If you have never done it before, yours will be blank. I'm going to press import tests. And I'm going to browse my computer. And I'm going to look on my desktop. And I'm looking for that ER final exam that I just saved. And here it is. It says ER final exam, compressed zipped folder. It must be a zipped folder in order to upload it into Blackboard. Okay, so I'm clicking on it. Here it is. And I press submit. Takes a minute. Okay, so it says it's complete. Press the little OK button down here. Okay, now I am going to course content, and let me see if that final exam's there. Nope, it's not there yet. So that means I'm going to, under assessments up here, under course content, your top header, I look for tests. I'm choosing that ER final exam. I press submit. And no, I don't want to make it available. All of these things are things you can use at different times. If we were going to give the test right now, you would make the link available. The other thing you could do is make the link available now, but create a password, and this is the password you're going to give your students when they take the exam. You could set a timer, so they have to finish it in a certain amount of times. You can put due dates and when it's going to pop up. So that's all going to be up to your comfort level, what you want to do. I tend to just turn it on and off, especially if I'm giving a test in the computer lab. I'm going to turn it on at the beginning, and then I'm going to turn it off when we're done. But I'm going to press submit. Okay, so now let me see if it's there. Here it is. Okay, cancel. And I'm going to press edit the test. Okay, so once it's there, I need to edit the test. Okay, this particular test has 83 questions. I like to keep my exams at 100 points, and then that way it kind of tends to, it'll determine how many points each question is. And then I'm going to press select all. I would like to use all the questions in this test. I'm going to go down there. I could have made it just the amount of questions points. And when you do your weighted total, that'll still give you a correct amount. Notice how this test has pictures in it, and it comes out just great. And it's going to be really an advantage to have this kind of test on a computer instead of a paper. A paper test is that you're going to lose a lot of the color. They're not going to really be able to see these rhythm strips as easily. Okay, so you're going to press OK. And now, if we go into my grade center, I look at the full grade center. Alrighty. Hoping this is the right class. I have this new final exam here. I'm going to pause. Okay, so now that we're in the Grade Center, you can see that my ER final exam is in here, but it's not going to be in the grade book. Notice I have an old final exam, and this is why when I was creating it, I made that exam in all caps so I would know which one was the one I just uploaded. Okay, so now I know that this other old final exam needs to be deleted. So I'm deleting that column. I'm going to go ahead and delete a couple more columns here because I know I have to upload the new exam 3. Exam 2. And the exam 1. So I'm just deleting those columns. Okay. Homework, PPS. Okay, again, just deleting these columns I don't need. And this is just, this happened to duplicate because I course copied in here twice because I had already created that other exam in a different shell. So I'm going to pause this real quick, clean this up. Okay, so now I'm in my grade book and I'm going to go into my weighted total. I have 2 of them. I don't want 2 of them. I'm going to go to the second one. Edit the column information. Okay, and notice what it says. Okay. Yes, I understand. Thank you. I want to do this anyway. So these are my assessments that are already in here. I had assessment 4 I wanted to add, and I wanted to add that ER exam. So this is where you need to have a hard copy of your syllabus so you know how much every exam is worth. This is my final exam, so this is going to be worth more. I think this is 25%. That sounds about right. And then I'm still editing this because if you notice, I have 3 exams I need to put in here still. I have exam 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start exam 1 right now. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. Now, I'm going to get out of, I'm going to stay in Blackboard. I'm going to go into course content. And now this is an exam I do not have an exam view. So that other exam was really easy and fast to make. This one is how you're going to make your tests and quizzes without having them already in exam view. So we're going to press create. And I'm going to make this exam 1. 1 ER. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that capitalized so I know this is one of my new ones I'm building just in case I didn't delete that other exam 1 from the grade book. Okay, I'm going to press submit. Now it's saying, do I want to create a question? Let's go over some of these really quick and see so I can tell you how to use them, what works for me. I really like to use, for the most part, multiple choice. You have to be careful you do not choose multiple answer, because if you choose multiple answer, it will allow the student to choose more than one. And you know how we have those questions where could be more than one correct answer, and then it gets very confusing. So you want to make sure you're always choosing multiple choice unless you do mean multiple answer. This might be handy if you're going to say select all the equipment you need for intubation or something like that. And you could have them selecting 5, 6, 7, 8 things. You can have short answer. I like to use this for certain classes. Law and ethics, I use this one. Some of the communications class, I'll use this one. True, false, this is pretty simple. You can't miss with a true, false question. Fill in the blank. You'd be surprised at how this program will actually grade the fill in the blank questions. The problem is when the students misspell or expects a certain number, or if they don't include the units of measurement, for instance, it might be problems. Matching, I like to use matching in some classes. And then you could just kind of figure that out. And you can do calculations. But I'm going to do regular multiple choice. But first, I need to find my questions. So I'm going over in here. I'm going to look. I think these are on the desktop. Postpone. I am going to find my classes. And I'm going to ER care. And exam 1 student. That's what I want. And it's opening. My word has been a little slow. I apologize. Here it is. Very good. All right, so all I'm going to do is copy my Word document, right? I don't need that anymore. I already found it. I'm going to open up, and I'm going to create a multiple choice. All right, now I'm going to go Control V. It does not like pastes unless you do Control V. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut my first answer. I'm going to press Control V, paste it right there, cut another answer. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to choose the correct one at the end, which order we're doing these. I'm going to cut. And I'm going to cut this one. Okay. Now let me read that question real quick so I can choose my answer. Okay. So this is going to be an OPA. It's already checked. It was the first answer. Then I'm going to clean up my question a little bit. Look at what happened with the copy and pasting. There ended up being some extra spaces we didn't want. You always wanted to take a look at that and make sure it looks nice. Don't ask me why. Sometimes this happens. Sometimes it's beautiful. But just take a peek. Everything looks good. And I'm going to press, I could press submit or submit and create another. What submit and create another is going to do, it's going to allow me to create another multiple choice. I'll already be in the multiple choice template. If I were going to switch to a true false question, I would just press submit and then I would choose a different type of question. All right, so I hope that's making sense to everybody. So once you're all done, you press submit, and I can edit this later, but it's, okay, it's telling me I have to give it a value. Okay. And I always just put 100 points on these, and that's the easiest thing to do, and then it'll figure out how many points they're each worth. Currently, it only has one question, so it'll figure that out. But if it was a quiz, it would be 10 questions, 10 points each. But I always do 100 because that way in the grade book, it looks like a percentage, and that's what the students are used to seeing. Okay, so now let's go into my grade center, and I'll see that it's still here, right? So that's my exam. So I should have an exam 1 now. Probably not, because I didn't finish making it. Okay. Course content, is it there yet? So my assessment, final exam, okay. So, tests, exam 1 ER, submit. Okay. And this is where it becomes active. So I'm submitting it here under test options. It's actually been created. And of course, I'm going to go in there and add the rest of those test questions. But I'm just trying to get you to understand what's going on. See, and now it's here. And then when I want to edit it, I can just go edit the test. Now, let me show you how, and then so there's a big difference between editing the test, which in this case is going to be me adding the other 38 or 39 or however many questions I have on this test. I need to go in there and do that. Editing the test options means it's time to start the test. So let's look at one of these assessments we already have built in this class. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. It's going to be edit the test options. Okay. And all I'm going to do is press make the link available. And notice I have the timer set at 15 minutes. And I'm going to put auto submit on. So at the end of 15 minutes, if they're still taking that test, it's going to submit whatever they've done. Okay, and I press submit. Now I'll show you what it looks like to them. So assessment 4. Begin, and they can do this in the classroom. They can do whatever they want to do. So these are all scenario questions. So they're gonna type in essay answers, okay? And that's what I want. And then at the end, they'll save and submit, and it'll be done, okay? So there are other quizzes that I have here that are going to be more traditional multiple choice. let me go into a class that I have already activated. Let me go ahead and turn these off so that if a student happens to log into their Blackboard, they can't see them. So make a link available, no, submit. And that's how you turn them off. Again, if you feel more comfortable using the advanced options and having them turning on and off automatically on a certain day, feel free. But oh, look what I did. I pressed edit the test instead of edit the test options. So, sorry. Okay, so it's off. Assessment 2. Edit the test options and make link available, no. Okay, so I'm going to go here into my Blackboard and I'm going to go into a class where I have had quite a bit of things turned in. Full Grade Center. Now, these are all graded, but let me just go in there and show you what it looks like. And I'm going to start at the top, and once you're in here, it's really easy to just start at the top and grade them. Just take a peek. So I put these multiple choice test questions in, and there are 10 questions, and I made it worth 100 points. And again, we're going to use the weighted total. So each quiz is only 2.5% of the grade, however you personally do your grade book. But I make everything 100 points because it makes it a little easier on the students. They like to see it in that percentage. So because it's a 10 question quiz, and it's worth 100 points, each of these is 10 points. So the student did not get this one right, so they got 0 points. Student did not get this one right, they got 0 points. This one I had to hand grade because it was one of those harder ones to do with the negative sign. And then you press save and next, and you just go through and grade it. So like that last one, if they had shown it, like originally it showed them having 0 points on this question 9, even though they got the range is okay, you can go in and edit and add the points, because it didn't quite pick it up because it was a fill in the blank. But the other ones are all auto-graded. Nice thing, you can give feedback like, okay, you really need to study this, and they can read that when they go in there and look at their grades. They can read the feedback. If you have a lot of essay questions, like that one question I was showing you that was all scenarios, you can give feedback on each individual one, so that tells them how their thinking was on that individual scenario. Okay, so you go save and next, and then just keep going like that, okay? Go back to the Full Grade Center, and I'm going to show you an assignment. So these students have to turn their things in through Blackboard. I'm going to show you how to create that assignment, but this is how I'm grading it. I'm looking at it right here, and can I read it? Is it clear enough, and is it added up? It looks a little fuzzy. I may have to ask her for the original on this one. This is a clinical item that they're turning in. So let me go to Full Grade Center. See if anybody's turned in a journal. No, I don't see one of those since I last graded it, but let me show you. Let's see. Grade attempt. Okay, so she wrote it out on paper and took a picture of it. It's clear enough that I can read it, that I've read it, and I gave her credit. So you can have paper assignments that you give to the students. They can be coloring, drawing, labeling, whatever kind of assignments you've given to the students, and they can still turn them in through Blackboard, so you don't have to keep track of that. Okay, so this is a soap. I'm going to open that up and show you what it looks like. Okay, so that's 100% up on top. I don't really need to grade it because I'm just entering the grade that the clinical instructor gave her. So I put 100 and I press submit. Now when I go back to Blackboard, that grade will be in. It's much more difficult for me to do this in clinicals where I'm jumping around than it is for you to do it in the classroom where everybody's taking assessment 1 at once. Everybody's homework is due by Tuesday, so they all have it in there at a certain time. Let me go into an old class here and show you that. Okay. Okay, so here all the homework was to be submitted online. So here's an assignment. Okay, it was worth 100 points. View grade details. Let's see. View grade details. Attempt. Okay, and again, this is something that they took a picture of their notes because that was the assignment, and then they turned in their notes. This one takes a minute to convert. The nice thing about this is almost every computer is able to upload these. And the really nice thing is if you have the students upload their homework into Blackboard, not only are you grading it in the grade book, but you are not needed to print any paper, and it's going to be scanning. So this was an all essay question final exam. So I had to go in and grade each essay question. And this is where I was telling you I could make comments to the individual students. It's kind of like personal stuff, so I'm going a little fast on purpose. But, you know, so that's another way you can do things. All right, so I'm going to go back to ER, and we are going to create an assignment. Okay, so I'm going to go to course content, sorry, and I'm going to go up here under assessments, and this is where it's a little weird, but everything we create that goes into the grade book goes here. Build content, this is where you add, as you know, is where you add your PowerPoints, or you put in or just a single Word document, something like that. So if you look under my exam 1, we'll open that up. These are going to be all my PowerPoints, and there's a couple scenarios and some supplement PowerPoints, things like that. But everything for the most part's there. But assessments is where I'm going to create their assignment. And several people have been concerned that they have assignments that are paper only because they're, like I said, they're diagrams, they're having to label areas of the heart, or they're having to do a worksheet. That's okay. Even if you have that paper handout that you give them, they can still turn it in through Blackboard. So I'm gonna make this red, and I'm gonna make this the presentation handout. So in this class, they have to present one of the subjects or topics that we've gone over in class in a short version at the end of the class, and they have to have a 1-page maximum size handout. So I'm just going to write these instructions, and it's really important that you don't include dates or anything with these instructions, because once you do it, it's going to course copy in the future, and you'll never have to update it. It'll just be course copied. Okay, so please upload your handout for the final presentation here before class on presentation day. So I'm keeping it nice and clear, and they'll obviously have a syllabus and a calendar. They'll know when this is due, okay? It's a presentation that they're making, so I don't have to attach a file. If it was something that they were coloring or filling in the blanks, you might want to attach the file in case they mess up and they want to do another one, something like that. They could download it again. I'm going to press submit. Okay, points possible. Again, I always just do 100. You could add a rubric here. If you had a rubric that was going to really go into what you expected, especially if this was a paper, something like that, that would be a great idea. Submission details again. If it was a paper, you could check this box and that will automatically plagiarism check. Okay. Single attempt, sometimes I'll put multiple attempts just because people have a hard time uploading things the first time, or then they want to edit it a little bit afterwards. I go ahead and press 3. Okay, and display of grades, score, and percentage. Okay, submit. And if I go back in to my grade center, now I should have that column. Presentation, handout, right here. So I need to go in and give it points, edit column information. And right now my column only adds up to 65 points, right? I need to take that old one out, that was final project, and I'm gonna presentation handout. And that's going to be 8%. Obviously, I'm going to be grading them a little bit on how they do in class as well. And it's not 100%, but that's because I have 3 tests that I have not put in here yet. So I still have to do that. Okay, I think that's a good start. I am going to go ahead and stop this one, but I'm going to go into some advanced stuff in another video. Okay.